asking for a 15% increase in the welfare that we give to other countries. And really, I think it's irresponsible. It's the wrong thing we should be doing. We should be conserving our resources, particularly conserving them for our country as opposed to sending them to other countries. There's not a great deal of evidence that the money that we launder throughout the world really over time has been a benefit to us. There's a great deal of evidence that much of it's been stolen. We mentioned corruption. Well, yeah, there's plenty of corruption, and often the government-to-government money has been stolen through the years. But some of it's spent on things that are just, if the American people knew about them, would be outraged. Some of the aid money went to, spreading green growth in Peru, some sort of climate alarmism, selling Serbian cheese, venture capital fund in Bosnia, small business loans to people who've been deported, dealing with truant Filipino youths. In Afghanistan, we spent $60 million on a hotel that was never completed. It was a shell of a hotel across from our embassy. It became such a danger that our troops had to patrol it, and ultimately will have to be raised if it hasn't been so already. They'll probably need more money to raise it after we gave somebody $60 million. The contractor ran off with the money. The people who want global climate alarmism to spread through both aid and our defense budget built a $45 million natural gas station in Afghanistan. First problem was it was supposed to cost $800,000, and then in the ever lack of efficiency of government, it ended up costing $45 million when initial estimates were $800,000. That was the first problem. The second problem is the average Afghani makes about $800 a year, doesn't have a regular car, much less a car that runs on natural gas. So the thing is that if you look at the history of the welfare that we distribute around the world, you really see a history of both sending it to corrupt nations. If you look at the money sent to the Mubarak family, to Egypt, I think it's $1.5 billion a year, but over like a 30-year period, I think it was 40 some odd billion. Well, Mubarak's kids were each worth about $5 billion. Mubarak himself became worth about $10 billion. And I don't think anybody argues that some of that wasn't getting by taking the cream off the top as our aid came in. But that's the history of it throughout Africa, throughout all of these nations, of people skimming off the top. But it's insulting to Americans. We're running a $3 trillion debt, and it does have ramifications. What we're seeing is inflation throughout the economy right now. It's an insidious tax. It hurts the poor the worst. It's a regressive tax, and we're going to see more of it. But it comes from people who don't seem to have an opinion about debt, who just seem to just go along their way and say, oh, I'm going to help people. I call it the big heart, small brain syndrome. Give everybody money. Give everybody free money. Give the world free money. Because we have a big heart and we want to help people, but we don't see really the ramifications of what the debt's doing to our country, what it'll ultimately do. If you want to see the unraveling of it, look at Venezuela. That's what our future will look like if we consider to not be concerned about debt. So my admonition to you is you should care about the debt and that you should be aware of the debt in coming forward with a budget that asks us to increase by 15% when we'll have a deficit of over $3 trillion this year.